In this video, I'm gonna reveal my secret strategy to get every job I ever wanted, and plot twist, they didn't even exist. Sounds impossible, right? But stick with me. In this video, I'm gonna show you exactly how I did it. Let's just get real for a second. We all know how frustrating it can be to go through Seek, to go through Indeed, to try and find a job that just slightly matches the kind of thing that we want, right? It's so frustrating. And then once you actually find those positions, you spend hours trying to perfect your resume or a cover letter just to suit that company's needs and requirements. And even you might have researched on YouTube how to do this well and all this kind of information. But what if I told you all of that was for nothing? And to be honest, you have probably noticed this yourself, because what happens? You apply and you apply and you apply. And guess what? No one comes back to you. If this is the same experience you had, then you need to watch this video, because I'm going to show you how I literally skipped out on that whole process. I stopped doing that and I actually landed the jobs I wanted. And I'm going to reveal to you how I did that today. Because, we keep applying for jobs that we don't even necessarily want, or doesn't even fit with the kind of vision we have for our life. Or we just stay within jobs that we hate or really just are neutral. They're not really contributing to the kind of vision that we have for our life, or they're not really the kind of job we want, or what the job description had at the beginning. But what if there was a better way? I'm telling you that there is. What if there are secret opportunities that you don't even know about, that you simply are not accessing just because you're not asking? So what's the secret? I am going to reveal this to you right now. What did I do instead of applying on Seek and going through all of that mess? I sent expressions of interest. I literally emailed companies that I wanted to work for, and I said, hey, this is me. I want to work for you. This is the job that I want to do. And guess what? It worked. And it worked not only once, but twice. The first thing I did was research which companies I wanted to work with and why. I really dug deep into the real reason I want to work for these companies. And do I really want to work for them? I really reflected on the kind of person that I wanted to be, and the kind of life that I want to live, and the kind of job experience that I want, right? Because we need to start there. Because if we're going to build the kind of life that we want, if we're going to attract these positions, then we need to ask, right? We need to go after these opportunities. And how do we do that? By creating them. Here is the step-by-step process to actually get this done. First, you want to work out which companies you want to work for and why. How does it fit with your vision? How does it fit with the kind of work experience that you want to have, right? Because they will resonate with that. These companies understand that. Even if you're just a junior, you are literally at university trying to gain experience in your particular field. They completely understand. But remember, the kind of opportunities that you're also asking for needs to be realistic. You can't just expect to walk in management positions first up. You can say that's your end goal, but you need to start small. So first, who do you want to work for and why? I identified this for myself, including the kind of position that I am asking for. And I put that in my expression of interest email. And honestly, I didn't even go to these companies in person. It was just simply an email that got me these opportunities. It is so simple and so risk-free, because what's the worst that can happen? They either don't respond or they just say no. But look at the upside. Look at the opportunities. You could have gained a position at a company you want to work for. Or even they could have come back and said, you know what? We can't do this particular job type, but we could do this one. And then you've got your foot in the door for the kind of jobs that you want. But I do want to say this. The emails that I sent to these companies, they were not generically worded. I will put on the screen what exactly I had in my emails, and down in the description, I will put together my formula for creating these expression of interest emails that get you the job that you want. So what did I do in these emails? I made it clear who I was. What experience do I have? What is my unique selling proposition? Essentially, who am I? Why they should hire me? And why do I want to work for them? These are the key questions that they would ask you within an interview. And honestly, my interviews were a breeze because I already had the answers, to the point where essentially my interviews were just essentially them explaining the position itself. And isn't that crazy? One question that I will say that did throw me off when I was going through the interview stages for the second one that I sent an expression of interest for, he did say, what is something that I think I need to work on? And because of this experience, as well as some other things that I have learned through interviews, I have created a secret sauce, a secret formula for actually preparing for interviews to get you the job. And if you are interested in learning this, I will create another video, but please drop it down in the comments or else I won't bother. But I do want to say this. The emails that I sent to these companies, they were not generically worded. I will put on the screen what exactly I had in my emails, and down in the description, I will put together my formula for creating these expression of interest emails that get you the job that you want. So what did I do in these emails? I made it clear who I was. What experience do I have? What is my unique selling proposition? Essentially, who am I? Why they should hire me? And why do I want to work for them? These are the key questions that they would ask you within an interview. And honestly, my interviews were a breeze because I already had the answers, to the point where essentially my interviews were just essentially them explaining the position itself. And isn't that crazy? One question that I will say that did throw me off when I was going through the interview stages for the second one that I sent an expression of interest for, he did say, what is something that I think I need to work on? And because of this experience, as well as some other things that I have learned through interviews, I have created a secret sauce, a secret formula for actually preparing for interviews to get you the job. And if you are interested in how exactly I prepared for these interviews, I will create another video on this exact topic. But you need to drop a comment down to let me know that this is a video that you want. So why does this approach work? I'll tell you why. You're being proactive. You're showing these companies that you have a higher respect for yourself, that you are like, this is me, and you're just putting yourself out there to say, look, I have value, this is why, and this is why you should hire me. And it just shows another level of confidence and ambition that you have that nobody else has. Because if you just think about it, everybody is just so lazy that they are running through Seek and Indeed and applying for these jobs. It is so much effort just to do that, but really it appears lazy to these companies because you're essentially like every other person, right? You need to do something different. So the step one is doing an expression of interest email. And in future, if I was going to take this to even the next level, I would go there in person. I would say, go up to them, introduce myself, say, hey, this is me. This is my name. This is why I am here. Can I talk to management? Hey, I want a job at your company. Is there someone that I can talk to about this? Are you in need of a position like this? Because that's something I did. I went up to one of these companies that I wanted to work for. I went in person to this company, and I just saw a random janitor, right? And I was like, are you looking for a job in this particular position, right? Is this company in need of this kind of position? And they ended up not forwarding me, not in an email format. I was there in person. They introduced me to one of their management team, and they say, hey, contact this person. And, I ended up getting that position. It's just crazy how actually simple this is and how easy it is, because you can copy and paste it for every single job that you want, right? But you need to get the formula correct. When you're selling yourself and you're saying, hey, this is me, this is my experience, this is my USP, you really got to nail the, what do you call it? Hit the nail on the head, that one, right? You got to really pinpoint what makes you unique. And I'm telling you, send expressions of interest, because at these companies that I sent expressions of interest to and I got the job, these positions didn't exist. They didn't have them, right? And I didn't see these positions on Seek. This is probably something that I should have said earlier, right? Because all I did was I thought about, okay, this is the vision that I have for myself. To get to that vision, I need this introductory job. I need this job to get that job that I really want and that I have envisioned for myself, right? It's the stepping stone, right? It's at the point where it's realistic to ask for a position like that based on the experience that you have and the qualifications that you have, right? So I worked that out. What is the position? And then why do I want it? And why does that position fit my personality, fit my skills, fit my qualifications? Okay? And then from there, why do I want to work for that company? I made it so clear. And within the email itself, I actually linked my LinkedIn profile. I didn't put a resume. I didn't even put a cover letter. Did not even bother. I literally just linked my LinkedIn profile, because honestly, that is all you need. It gives everything that they need to know. And a pro tip that I would say in terms of your LinkedIn profile is make it look amazing. Make it look professional, right? Include everything that you've ever done. Include any qualifications through the kind of skills that you had, to the kind of awards that you got during high school. And if you can, I know this can be a harder one to do and it's pretty awkward to ask, but add recommendations to your LinkedIn. So what do I mean by that? It's a pretty much like your referral program, but it's on LinkedIn. There's actually a section in LinkedIn where you can add recommendations, and it essentially creates a section where it's people essentially giving positive reviews about you. And just take note that you can accept or deny. So if someone writes you a recommendation and is actually saying that you're really bad, you actually know who your referees can be, right? You can get them to write a recommendation. And what's interesting is if they're not willing to, then it actually reveals to you that maybe these aren't the people that you should put on that list in future, because they're not going to give you a good, they're not going to sell you well, or they might even say to those people that you shouldn't get that job, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, so to actually link to my actual personal experience, what I did was I sent an expression of interest to a couple of restaurants because I wanted to be a casual event assistant. Let's just say that that was the role that I was looking for, right? And so I sent expressions of interest to restaurants that I wanted to work at, because I thought that that was for the kind of area that I was in, that those were the kind of places that I could reasonably get the experience that I wanted. And it's close enough that it's the right facility for that kind of experience, right? So I sent expressions of interest to, let's say it was a casual event assistant role. And I actually heard back from people, and they're like, hey, can you come in for an interview? I was honestly so keen. So I went for an interview. This was probably like a year ago, right? I went for the interview, and it was so strange because I had, firstly, I had the manager of this restaurant, sit me down at a table. And it was just weird because I always thought that interviews with these kind of companies would be very like formal in the sense of that it's almost an interrogation, right? This guy, he was essentially like explaining the role to me and not really asking me any questions. It was so weird. And then he got, let's say it was the event manager, right? Because if I was asking for a casual event assistant role, then he would get the event manager to come. Let's just say it was him who came. Then he came along, and then he said that, was again explaining the role, and they were assessing my personality and all that kind of stuff. Take note that I dressed well. I made sure that I looked the part that I was looking for, right? I looked well dressed. And even when they were coming out, I put my hand out to give them a handshake. It seems almost masculine, right? But it's professional, especially in those places. So I would say that that is the way to go. So yes, so I had that interview with the restaurant manager, as well as, let's say it was the event manager. And honestly, I got the role. It was crazy. They literally gave me the forms then and there to say, you've got the job. And I was just stunned. Like, I hadn't heard back from any of the places that I applied to on Seek or Indeed. None of them at all. I sent an expression of interest email and I got a job. Isn't that insane? Like, it's crazy. And then after I left that position, actually, before I explain that, I will say that before I left that position, pro tip, get a new job first. Okay? Before you quit your first job or quit the job that you're in, secure another job first. And when I say secure, I don't mean just the promise of the job, get the contract. Only then do you give your 2 weeks notice or you quit, okay? Because it's never secure. Until you have that contract that you can sign then and there, don't quit. Because you don't know. They could just throw it back at you. You could quit and then you don't have a job. They could just say, oh, we actually found another candidate, right? So pro tip is get another job first and get the contract, okay? So after I was leaving that first job, I applied I was looking for the same position at that point because that was still the experience that I felt like I wanted to have in that particular position. So by position, I'm talking about let's say it was the casual event assistant position. So yeah, then I applied. I sent expressions of interest to say, hey, this is me. This is the kind of job I want. I want to work for you, right? But actually with that role, before I sent an expression of interest, I had actually gone in person and I had a chat to one of their supervisors, which was awesome. And I just said, hey, my name is Chanel. I was just wondering if you guys are looking for event staff. Interestingly enough, I was so well dressed that they thought that I hired out event staff, not that I was looking for an event staff, to be an event staff, which is interesting, just to show you that presentation matters, right? And I looked like I worked there, which is what's interesting. And I actually made a joke about this in my interview with that company to say that this actually happened, by the way. I was just standing off to the side and one of their customers actually mistook me for working there. That's how well dressed I was and how suited I was to the environment I was in, how professional I looked and how confident I looked. So it makes a big difference. And if you guys want some tips on how to do that, let me know, drop a comment down and I'll make a video on that because I definitely have some very keen things that I can share on the topic. But yeah, and so after I actually went in person, I'm like, you know what, this is actually a place that I think I can see myself working in and I want to work in. Then from there, I went home, I sent an expression of interest email, ended up that next week having a sit down interview with them. They seemed to like me. They liked my kind of responses. Looking back, there were some things that I would have tweaked in my interview, which has actually led me to my secret formula for interviews. That I now have generated based on my experience. But yeah, and I actually got that role, which is crazy. And I got the contract and then I quit my other job. So with the past 2 jobs that I've had, I got them both just by sending an expression of interest. And the funniest thing is that with all the jobs that I've applied through Seek and all those online applications that everybody knows about, I have heard absolutely nothing. Nothing. It's crazy. And the funniest part is I didn't even want those positions. I actually got the roles that I wanted by doing expressions of interest. And with the ones through Seek, I honestly didn't even want. It's the craziest thing of all. So I would highly, highly recommend it. And just to flick back for a second to the first company that I sent an expression of interest for and I got the position that I wanted, they were actually saying in the interview that they valued the fact that I sent in expressions of interest and how, I guess, not shocked, but they were just impressed by me doing that. And that just shows you that people aren't doing this. People aren't using this strategy. So by doing this right here, you are just leveling yourself up to that extra level and just doing something that nobody else is doing. But I would recommend that if you just want to take that level step up from even just an email, is go in person. Go have that chat. I would prepare like you would for an interview. And again, like I said before, if you want my secret sauce formula for preparing for that, let me know. But I would highly recommend preparing. But yeah, this is like my secret strategy for doing that. This is how I've gotten every job that I've wanted so far and how I will continue to do so. It's crazy. So let's just recap that everything that we've just now discussed and how to get the jobs that you want. First of all, identify the position that you want, right? Have a think about the kind of vision you have for yourself in your mind and what position that you can take right now. Like, you got to be realistic, remember, in terms of what position you can ask for. Because if you don't even have a qualification and you're asking for management positions, like, obviously don't be stupid in terms of, sorry if that's offended anyone just now, but don't be stupid, okay? In terms of the positions that you're asking for, make sure it's reasonable. But think about the kind of position that you want that aligns with the vision you have for yourself. Think about how your skills, abilities, personality matches that, right? As well as what's your USP. And then from there, figure out what company you want to work for, of course, right? And why you want to work for them. But really think about why you want to work for them, right? Because you are going to spend so much time and so much energy on this company. You want to make sure that this is the place you want to work for, okay? Then once you've got that down, you are going to use the formula that I've got in the description below for the email that you can send them. Make sure your LinkedIn profile is well done at this point, right? You want to make sure to set that up. If you want me to make a video on how to set one up, let me know. And how to do that well, right? We got this. Then, yep, then we can do that. But use the one that I've got in the description below, and I've got to send that through to the companies you want and just see how those job offers come in, right? They will be so impressed. So impressed by the fact that you're like, hey, this is me, and you're confident enough to be like, yeah, I know what value I can add. This is me, and I want to work for you, and you should hire me. Like, imagine getting an email like that, right? If you're that company, it's like, okay, maybe we should consider this, right? And one thing I will say is do not, huge disclaimer, do not follow up on that email, because that just looks plain desperate. It's the same as like in a relationship with anybody else, right? Don't keep following up on it. Just let them be and let these job offers come to you. And if nothing is coming to you, apply for more positions, apply for more jobs. Then you know that you need to expand your idea of what you're looking for, right? But you are fully capable of achieving what you want and getting access to these opportunities. That's pretty much a wrap for today's video. Thank you so much for joining me today. If there are any topics that you want me to cover, please let me know. Drop a comment down below. And if we haven't met yet, I thought I'd introduce myself. My name is Chanel, and for all my returning friends, thank you for joining me today. I just want to say that you are absolutely amazing for investing in your future. Your ambitions matter. You matter, and you have the full right to go after what you want. I'll see you in the next video.